morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me? Let me just show you something. Yeah, that was our YouTube subscriber count yesterday afternoon at about 3 p.m. A few weeks ago, I thought there was a vague hope that we might hit the 20,000 mark before the new year, but the growth has continued to, grow, and here we are at more than 25,000, 4 days before Christmas. If we can maintain that level of growth, we could top 30,000 before we get to ConExpo in March, and we'll be back to ConExpo in a little bit. Needless to say, all of that has greatly improved my mood this morning. Now let's see if we can improve your day. We have another prize giveaway for you today, this time in the shape of my book, Demolition 2051. Can you see that? There you go, Demolition 2051, my first official work of fiction. If you'd like to win a copy of that book, please type 2051 into the chat, 2051, and I will run a banner across the bottom of the screen throughout the show as a reminder. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, let me do it right now. There you go, 2051. You'll be in with a chance to win a book. And I have to say, if you find me even more befuddled and confused than usual this morning, I've just had the strangest thing. So I had a message from our friend Gary Muirhead, morning Gary, on LinkedIn this morning to say, did you enjoy your morning coffee? I did. Odd question, I thought. And then I had a notification to let me know that Gary Muirhead has very kindly bought me a coffee over on our Buy Me a Coffee platform. There you are. No, let me go that way. That's I can never do this. It's there. Buy me a coffee. It's buymeacoffee.com/demolition news. Gary, you are a generous man, and I thank you enormously. And my apologies for not responding before. I didn't know what the hell you were talking about, to be perfectly honest. I'm just going to say a very quick couple of good mornings. I've already said good morning to Gary, but also to Steve Williams and Peter Ferguson, who is in the chat as well. Ken Hatcher. Ken Hatcher says, I hope you're back next year, Mark, and not on strike. There's no point in me striking. I don't pay myself enough as it is. And therefore there is nothing for me to strike about. Now, having said all of that, and thank you again, Gary, you really shouldn't have, but I'm very, very glad you did. Let me roll the intro, and I'm going to post the question of the day. And you can tell it's the last knockings of the year because the question of the day is nothing to do whatsoever with the industry. It's more to do with Christmas itself. So while I'm playing this, I'll post that question right now. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. As you should be able to see in the chat now, the question of the day is, what are your festive traditions? I don't mean, do you have turkey? I think let's assume that everyone pretty much does that. Two within my family. When I was a kid, my mum used to buy me those little bags of chocolate coins. I got to about 15 and she said, you won't be wanting those anymore. I said, well, I'm sorry, madam, but you're mistaken. I would like those very much. And up until last Christmas, my mum continued. I'm 57 now, and my mum always had a bag of gold coins for me, chocolate coins. So much so, this is so much a part of our family history that my mum's best friend at my mum's funeral actually said, I will take on that tradition. And lo and behold, this year I've had a bag of chocolate coins all the way from Manchester from my mum's best mate. So thanks, Anne. On the same path, my mum, again, used to buy my son, when he was very young, a copy of the Guinness Book of World Records, which he always enjoyed. We thought he would have grown out of that by the time he turned sort of 11, 12, 13. Nope. He's 30 this year, but he's still getting one. And once again, my mum's best friend, Anne, has picked up the tab this year, and he's got a copy of the Guinness Book of World Records. So again, thank you, Anne. If you've got anything like that or anything weird and wonderful that your family does, love to hear about it. Now, It is Wednesday, the 21st of December, and as that remarkably persistent and rambling guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Komatsu sells its 2000th intelligent machine here in Europe. Hitachi sets its sights on ConExpo 2023, and we're revisiting the first Cat 395 here in the UK. Plus, we're off to Australia's Gold Coast for a fresh perspective on the role of demolition within the circular economy. And we will, I promise, get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to Archbishop Thomas Becket, big fan of the show, and to former Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli, who doesn't tune in. I don't know why. Happy birthday also to John Boone, one half of the Mills and Boone Publishing House, to actress and activist Jane Fonda, musician Frank Zappa, and to guitarist Albert Lee, to actor Samuel L. Jackson. I'll come back to him in a second. Tennis star Chris Evert, comedian Ray Romano, and to French President Emmanuel Macron. Many happy returns to them, one and all. And I spoke about my son and the recipient of the Guinness Book of World Records. For many years, I mean, literally up until about 6 months ago, my son was convinced that Samuel L. Jackson was actually Samuel L. Jackson. He actually thought Samuel L. Jackson's first name was pronounced Samuel Jackson. There you are. I've raised an absolute superstar. Let's get on with this. Now, I have no idea whatsoever why it's taken the news so long to filter through, but yesterday we received word that our friends at Komatsu had sold the 2000th intelligent machine here in Europe. Hot off the press, I thought. Must share that with the Breakfast Show audience. But as you're about to see, the video that accompanied that release actually dates back to the summer of this year.
Today we're looking at the 2000th IMC machine sold in Europe, so a very, very exciting and significant milestone for us. We're very, very happy and pleased that TruePlant is going to take the 2000th machine.
TruePlant is a family business based in Ipswich in East Anglia, the southeast of England. We rent plant out on a self-drive and operated basis. We also do contracting in earthworks and demolition.
I'm very proud on both selling this 2000th machine to TruePlant and also the fact that we can collaborate with TruePlant and assist them in all their support needs and data.
The distributor is very, very important. It's not about just delivering a machine, delivering technology. It's about delivering that technology to the customer, then supporting the customer to maximise the benefits.
We try and support both the drivers, the guys in the office, and indeed their clients on the job sites to ensure that the machines are working correctly and getting the most out of them on the job site as well.
It's so much about the relationship and the communication, and to be honest with you, it's in a really good place now with Komatsu. The backup is great. The intelligent dozers just make our life easier because, it's all built in. You simply have the computer to plug in, and that's it.
Any operator can be an expert operator with this machine.
From the driver's perspective, but also from my perspective, being the in charge of the plant hire company, it's so simple, it just makes our life easier and makes our customers' life easier.
Yeah, okay, it took a while for that news to filter through, but that is still a great achievement, and I think it's another signifier of the rise of fully loaded and intelligent equipment, particularly when you think that latest one is going to TruePlant, a plant hirer. There was always that argument that plant hirers were very keen on the stripped-down, bare-bones machines, buy them cheap, stack them high, sell them after a couple of years. TruePlant taking a completely different approach and, as I say, buying a fully loaded Komatsu. So hats off to them, and hats off to Komatsu for selling 2,000 intelligent machines here in Europe. just going to draw your attention very quickly to the message across the bottom of the screen there. There is a copy of my book, Demolition 2051, up for grabs there. I'm not going to sign it because it would devalue it, but if you type 2051 into the chat, you'll be entered into the draw. There's only 3 entries so far, so as it stands at the moment, you've got a 1 in 3 chance. Obviously, that'll be a 1 in 4 chance if anybody else comes along. Now, with news pretty thin on the ground this week, we decided to take a bit of a look back through our archives to see what we might share with you. Weirdly, having checked through the past 433 episodes, yes, 433, it seems that we never actually showed you a film back when it was shot. I've no idea why that was. So let's put it right. This is the first Cat 395 excavator to go to work right here in the UK. Yeah, it really is a beast. I've no idea why we didn't share that back when it was shot. Now, my question of the day was, do you have any Christmas traditions? We'll get back to them after the chat, but here's one I'm just going to throw up. Steve Williamson, good morning, Steve, says, a glass of bubbly before opening presents. What is the protocol in your household about opening presents? We were all in my house when I was growing up, and therefore I've carried it on with my kids. Christmas morning, usually some point just after dawn, we would get up, and that was when we would open our presents. I know there's a lot of people that do it on Christmas Eve, some that do it on Boxing Day, some that hold it back until after the Queen's, or as it is now, the King's speech. Love to hear from you. And just one other thing, which I'm sure I may have mentioned here before, I can't remember what the context was. When I was growing up, my parents they had a fold away table that they would put across the front room door, the living room door, to prevent myself and my sister sneaking down in the middle of the night and opening our presents before they woke up. That tradition continued even after both myself and my sister had developed drinking habits that meant that we didn't get out of bed much before about noon on Christmas Day. Any of those? I'd love to hear from you. Now, we need a bit of this. Well, it appears that the well of post-Baumer content finally ran dry. Thankfully, by the time we get back after the Christmas break, our focus will have shifted from Bavaria to Nevada. And one company is looking ahead to ConExpo and all that Las Vegas has to offer is Hitachi. Yeah, honestly can't wait to touch down in Las Vegas, McCarran International Airport to be precise, after what will have been a 3-year absence. And I don't want to count my chickens, but I had an email this morning from the fine folks at XCMG who asked if I was available to do some work with them while I'm in Las Vegas. Yes, I am. Anyone for a yen? Is it a yen in China? That may be Japan. I honestly don't know, but anyone for a buck.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yes, one of the joys of broadcasting live to YouTube is that I now have some pilchard in the chat offering me free girls in my city 3 times. Have you seen the style of me? Do I really look like I need that? Yeah, I probably do, actually. Yesterday was something of a mixed bag for me. Yesterday afternoon, I recorded an interview with a demolition and construction man who, having survived a brain tumour, pretty serious, has seen his life head off in a totally new and unexpected direction. Now, I was planning to release that film early in the new year, but the story itself is really so inspirational and so linked with the festive period that I'm going to actually release it tomorrow to make sure you've got it for the Christmas break. It's a long one. It's about 45 minutes long. So if you find yourself at a loose end at any point over the Christmas period and fancy a bit of a heartwarming story, then please tune in to that. I'll be telling you more about that in the fullness of time. It really is an odd old bag of an interview. It takes in all things from brain tumour at one end to religion and community and mental health and suicide and all points in between. It really is an absolute corker, so look out for that one. So that was the good bit of yesterday. Now, the bad bit. 2 days ago, I recorded my part of a brand new video and audio podcast series that is focused on the whole embodied carbon threat to the demolition industry. Immediately after yesterday's show, I finished the main editing of that video and just had a few minor tweaks left to do today. Switched on my computer this morning and found that while I have all the constituent parts still, the actual edited video is nowhere to be found, which means I now have to re-edit it all from scratch. It is a pain, but the video I'm about to show you merely re-emphasizes much of what I said when I recorded the first episode of our new podcast series, that demolition is a key to progress, that it is an integral part of the circular economy, and it is also a key part of the local community. Take a look at this. Houston, we have a problem. There is supposed to be audio with that. There is none. I don't know why. Having lost one video yesterday, I've now lost the sound on another one. We'll come back to that at some other point. Let me roll this and get things back on track. There was a time this part of the year was marked by the arrival of bottles of booze here at Demolition News Towers. One year, back when I was still a drinker, I received 12 bottles of Jack Daniels, each from a different person or a different company. The fact that they all knew my drink of choice and the fact that it arrived in such volume probably explains why I am no longer a drinker. Today, however, the bottles of booze and Christmas cards have been replaced by rather smart, festive videos from manufacturers like this one. Right, it is time to find out I'm just going to say very quick festive greetings to the fine folks at Kobelco that put that one together. It's time to find out who has won a copy of my book, Demolition 2051. 4 entries. A bit quiet today. I think a few people have taken a bit of an early break. So here goes. Let's see who has won the book this time. Peter Ferguson. It's good to share the love around. Peter Ferguson, you are now the proud owner of a copy of Demolition 2051 written by this guy. Congratulations, Peter. Do me a favour, when the show is over, or now if you prefer, send me a message with your postal address. I'm actually going to the post office in about half an hour's time. So if you got it in time for that, I'll get it in the post for you today. No guarantees, obviously, that it will be there in time for Christmas, but I will do my level best to make sure that happens. That's a good video, Kobelco, says our friend Ken Hatcher. It appears that the offer of free girls has now dried up, which is good to see. Well done, Peter, says Gary Muirhead. Right, let's get back to a bit of...
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I will roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. Just so you know, one of the things I'm planning to do over the Christmas period is to rework some of this regular script. I'm sure you're as bored as I am with me leaping gazelle-like anywhere. I think we need a refresh. I'll get to that. But if you can't stick around today, please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. That bit may stay. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. But if you have the time and the inclination, I'll see you other side of this. Good. Hey. Just going to quickly throw this one up. Thank you for Demo 2051. I shall pass it on to Reigart Demolition as they are my local crew. Thank you very much indeed for doing that, Peter. Reigart, I actually visited them maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Fine company up in Borney, Scotland. Right, let's have a look. See who... It is Reigart in Scotland, isn't it? Sure it is. If I've got that wrong. It's been a funny old morning. Ken Hatcher was first off the mark this morning. He's got the rain. I'm not entirely sure but I'm fairly sure I've never been to Wales when it hasn't been raining. Went on holiday to Wales, North Wales, many moons ago. My wife had just given birth to twins, so we decided probably not to go overseas. We went to North Wales. Can't remember exactly where we were, doesn't matter, but the weather was horrendous, as it so often is, and we decided to cheer the children up, because we had my older daughter and my best friend and his daughter as well. We went to a shop to buy kites. We bought kites and we went onto the beach. The wind on the beach was so strong that the kite went up in the air and literally folded in half and fell to the ground. Welsh weather, love it. Steve Williamson, morning Steve. Looking forward to seeing you over in Las Vegas, if not before. Hope you got your bag, well, not quite packed, but headed that way. Gary Muirhead, I'm going to say many thanks once again for the kind donation of a coffee. Funnily enough, I mentioned earlier, I'm off to the post office shortly. I am, nothing majorly urgent, but I am off to the post office, and a couple of doors away from my local post office is a coffee shop. My wife is getting her hair cut as we speak, in time for Christmas. I don't have to worry about such things. So my plan after this show is over, I'm going to stroll on down to the local town, go to the post office, and then I'm going to cash in on that cup of coffee that you very kindly, well, 3 cups of coffee that you very kindly bought this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Peter Ferguson says, a good day to everyone. Good day indeed, particularly as you've just become a winner. Not entirely sure what is will. Oh yes, 25,000. 25,000. Yeah, it's a weird thing. We've had that YouTube channel now for I reckon 8-9 years. We have another one, an older one, but when we decided we were going to go start doing our own videos in-house, and we started the Demolition News channel over on YouTube, and it is basically bumped along the bottom. I think it took us about 3 years to get above 1,000 subscribers, and then the start of this year, because of this show, because of our basically just pushing more and more things like Downer and Hillhead, producing multiple videos. We've just seen the curve do that, and I genuinely, at the start of this month, I thought we might actually make it to 20,000 by Christmas. Blasted past that, and I can tell you, can I tell you? Fairly sure I can. I can tell you that as of right this second, we're at 25,597, so we've added another 600 odd overnight. Amazing, and long may it continue. Steve Williamson entered the competition. Sorry, Steve, didn't win this time. Gary Muirhead entered as well, didn't get it this time. Yeah, just to be absolutely sure, I will be back next year. I'm not sure there was any doubt about that last year, actually. For those of you that don't, I know Peter and Ken and Gary were here literally from the outset. Came back from Las Vegas, ConExpo 2020. Couldn't produce a magazine, so decided to start doing this. Thought it would last for about a fortnight. It didn't. COVID went on. We carried on doing it. So at the end of 2020, I was half expecting to ultimately one day go back to magazine publishing. But the lockdown continued. I wasn't able to do that, and to be perfectly honest, by that time we produced that many shows and gathered that much of an audience that there didn't seem much point in going back. So that was 2021. 2021, obviously we continued and continued. We're now rolling towards 2023. We're going nowhere. This format works. It works for us, and it quite clearly works for you guys as well. So no, this is going nowhere anytime soon. It is time for a refresh. We'll do a slight refresh over the Christmas period, as I say, with some rescripting and stuff. But the big refresh will be when we hit our 500th show, which should coincide more or less with ConExpo. We're at 434 today, I think it's 434 shows today, so we've got another 66 to go, which is about 3 months. So yeah, it may be after we get back from ConExpo, but watch this space because things are changing. Peter Ferguson, there was the ultimate winner. Thank you very much indeed for that. festive traditions. I'm going to get to those in just a second. Gary Muirhead says, eat, drink, sleep, repeat. That seems like, I don't believe that's a tradition. I think that's just a duty here in the UK, isn't it? That's exactly how we do things here. Steve Williamson, all have to wear Christmas jumpers. You know, I've done a really silly thing. I've got quite a collection of Christmas jumpers from the Sublime, a Carlsberg branded one. I've got a Thwaites one here. I've got a JCB one here. Because you don't need them most of the time, I actually stuck them in a suitcase and put the suitcase on top of a wardrobe while I was wearing my summer wardrobe. And then my son went off on holiday, wanted to borrow the suitcase. So the jumpers went into a bag that was stored away. Haven't dug it out. I'm going to have to go and find that bag now because, you know, Christmas Day, it's got to be done, isn't it? I can feel a JCB day coming on Christmas Day. We shall see. I put sweets in my stockings. I'm assuming this is purely a Christmas tradition and not the fact that you wear stockings with sweets in most of the time. But yeah. Did anyone, even though the whole stocking thing had gone completely out of the window by the time I was a kid, my mum used to pin up a sock. Used to be one of my old football socks, actually, generally. And for reasons best known, I'm sure there is some reason for that. There was like a little knick-knack or two in there, but there was always a couple of satsumas and a couple of like walnuts or Brazil nuts or whatever it might be. So I'd wake up on Christmas morning, there was the sock, I'd dig out whatever tiny little knick-knack was in there, and then put the satsumas back in the fruit bowl and put the nuts back in the nut bowl. What was the point of that? Not entirely sure. I'm celebrating mine. Not sure what that was about. Question of the day. King Charles speech and loads of food and a wee liquid refreshment or two. I'm not even going to attempt the Scottish pronunciation of that, but King Charles speech. My long drawn out story. When I was very first, when I was engaged actually, because we were living together, and then when we ultimately got married, we used to alternate. My parents used to come one year, my in-laws used to come another year. Somewhere in the dim and distant past, my sister-in-law, for reasons best known to herself, decided to convert to Catholicism, and as a result of that, they have duties of some description. Who knows? They have duties to perform on Christmas Day. So as a result, we ended up with the cycle changing so that we have my in-laws on Christmas Day, and I used to have my parents on Boxing Day. Part of our day on Christmas Day now is my mother-in-law used to sit there up until last year. Oh, I wonder what colour the Queen will be wearing when she does her speech. Obviously, we no longer have Her Madge the Queen. Do we still do that? Do we wonder what King Charles will be wearing? Will he go Balmoral kilt and all? Will he go military finery? Or will he go straight up suited and booted? I have to say, not a royalist. But if I were to draw up a list, I've kind of done it in my head. If I were to draw up a list of the best dressed men in the UK, Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones would be numero uno. Number 2, King Charles. Dude can wear a suit. He really can. Let's have a look. There's Ken Hatcher's entry. Sorry you didn't win this time, Ken. Just had a message in. Okay, just a message from Nigel Williams. I thought it might be related to the show. It's not. Question of the day. Glass of bubbly before opening presents. Like to see some start early. Anybody else? Anybody else? I know my wife. My wife is Bucks Fizz in the morning, and then around about 11 o'clock, out comes the sherry. After which, it all starts to fall apart a little bit. Ken Hatcher, sprocket expert in residence. Nice to see the sprockets correct for once. That was a Cat 395. You know, you've said it so many times now, Ken. I actually find myself looking, and I look knowing that I'm going to run the video anyway. but I know that either you're going to comment they need to sort the sprockets out, or good to see that they've got them in the right place. I'm a sprocket enthusiast myself now. We used to do it after morning break, about 10 o'clock. Not sure what that one's about either. Steve Williamson, you flying over a few days before the show? Yeah, that is the plan. Can't tell you too much because it's the ink isn't dry yet, but we have some duties to perform, I hope, and that will require us to be at the show a day before it opens. So all things being equal, I think the plan is to fly out. I can't remember if it's the Friday or the Saturday. Get there, shake off the jet lag, go and have a bite to eat, have a decent night's kip, and then get off to the show on the Sunday before to make sure that we're ready for Monday, and then obviously to be ready for the show opening as well. It is a good video, Cabelco. It's interesting actually that when you see the way that all of this has transpired. If anybody has ever bored, go and take a look at the Caterpillar YouTube channel. Obviously they are the biggest, they have lots and lots of money, but there is multiple Caterpillar YouTube channels, one of which is Cat Products, and they use it not just to introduce new machines, but they also use it for instructional videos on how to operate, how to maintain, how to get the best from, and everything else. Why anyone would need an operator manual these days, I have no idea. And by the same token, why anyone would need a Christmas card and a mailing list, no idea. Send them a video. And bearing in mind, it's something that I do behind the scenes. Maybe I need to do it for a few of you guys actually. When I'm dealing with clients, paying clients, there are a couple of systems out there, one of which is called Bonjoro, Bonjoro, and it allows you to send personalized videos. So you can literally record a video, send press the email button, and off it goes. So I could literally, as he's on the screen, I could literally say, "Morning Ken, Mark here, hope you have a good Christmas mate, see you in the new year, thank you very much for all your support this year, Bob's your uncle." That would be a personalised video purely for Ken. I can't imagine for one moment why anyone would want one of those, but if you would like one of those, send me your email address and I'll happily do that. Maybe you can show it to the children, keep them afraid of computers or something, I don't know. Thank you for Demo 2051. I shall pass it on to Reigart Demolition, as they are my local crew. We've already covered that. Yes, they are in Lanarkshire. I'm glad my memory was working properly. Just a very quick recap on that. It is. I've written a couple of children's books. Demolition. My dad does Demolition, and my dad drives a digger. But that was my first attempt at a fiction book for adults. There you are. That's all I can tell you about that. Had some assistance from William Sinclair up at SafeDem, again in Scotland, another demolition company up in Scotland, who gave me a bit of guidance on some of the bits and pieces in there. Real future. Well, I say that it was written. Balfour Beatty actually launched a white paper called Construction 2050, I think it was, and they were talking about the fact that they foresaw a time when construction would be a largely human-free zone, and there'd be drones in the sky and laser guidance, this and all manner of stuff. That stuck in the back of my head, and then I basically sat down for a week or so and just pounded the keyboard, coming up with my kind of vision for the future, with a foot in the past as well. So that was Demolition 2051. Let's have a look. Can't see me going to Las Vegas this time. I've not got a spare 4K. Yeah, unfortunately, it is going to be expensive. It is going to be expensive. I know. I think the price of the flights that we're looking at is about 50% up on what I paid this time 3 years ago, and the cost of the hotel rooms has doubled. Still poking around for deals and that kind of thing, but yeah, it is going to be an expensive one. Thankfully, on some occasions, I do get to get paid for this sort of stuff. All becomes clear. Celebrating my birthday, says Steve Williamson. We normally do this to welcome people, but here you go. Many happy returns, Steve Williamson. Happy birthday, my friend. enjoy what is left of it. I'm assuming, like all people in this industry, you're still at work, despite the fact that it's your birthday, but many happy returns, so thank you very much indeed for letting us know. I used to put up my granddad's sock. He was a gamekeeper. He had huge socks. Bigger the sock, the more gifts. See? Not just a hat rack, my friend. Well done, Steve. Yeah, absolutely. To be perfectly honest, that's exactly why I had a football sock. It was yay long. Let's have a look what we got here. I love what Peter had done for charity donation. All those chocolates and food. Well done, Peter. Yeah, unfortunately, Peter is a bit below par today. He's under the weather. I think he is eventually, finally succumbed. All that enthusiasm that he brings has kept flu and COVID and everything else at bay. Flu finally found him. I spoke to him last night, and he did sound absolutely dog rough. But for those that don't know, Peter obviously is a regular on the show, but he's also the absolute king, undisputed king over on LinkedIn. He's done a lot of charity work this year, particularly with things around Ukraine. But he was speaking to, go and have a look at him over on LinkedIn, and be sure to follow him while you're there. But basically, he was speaking to some people a day or two ago, and decided, actually, I need to do my part here for charity. So he went to his local Tesco's, and he bought, I think he said he bought 133 selection boxes that are all going into hampers to be distributed to people. I think it's around his area, up around Stafford. But yeah, hats off to Peter, and hats off to everybody else that has done their bit for charity this year. I know there's been some fantastic efforts in aid of the Ukraine and mental health charities and everything else. One of the things I've always fancied doing, and this is not an excuse, I promise you this is not an excuse. One of my wife's friends, must be 15 years ago now, decided I have plenty. I'm going to volunteer, and I'm going to go and work basically a soup kitchen in the heart of London on Christmas Day. And she came back absolutely blown away by the response to it, and just getting to hang out with people that you probably wouldn't get to hang out with under normal circumstances. And somewhere in the back of my brain, I would love to do that one of these days. My wife always says bar humbug when I mention this, but to be perfectly honest with you, Christmas to me now is pretty much meaningless. It is a day off, don't get me wrong, but not religious, so the whole origin story of Christmas kind of lost on me. Parents aren't around anymore, so Boxing Day is a bit of a dead loss. And the biggest thing I think is the fact that Christmas for years, decade and a half or thereabouts, was always dedicated to the kids. Well, my kids, the youngest one is 28 now. He won't roll out of bed much before about 11 o'clock. So all the excitement and the look in the eyes of the children, that's all gone. And to be honest, Christmas, bit of a dead loss. I would love to go and do something like that. Homeless shelter or soup kitchen or food bank or whatever it might be. The trouble is, because as I've already said, we do have our in-laws coming around, and there is a lot of organisation to be done, because there will usually be 6, 7, 8 people in the house. Not been able to do it yet, but maybe I'll get round to it one of these days. Maybe I will get. It's on the bucket list. Our church choir raised $2,065 for Glasgow East End food banks after our Christmas carol concert last Sunday evening. That's a remarkable achievement. So I'm glad you raised that, Peter, because I'm kind of giving the game away a little bit here. The guy I interviewed yesterday, a guy called Paul Latham, based up in the Midlands, and has been in construction, plant hire, touching on the demolition industry as well. The reason I met Paul was he'd watched, I think it was our first world premiere show with Girone and Caterpillar. And as a result, Paul had won a prize. I sent him the prize. We got to talking over email, and he basically said that he had effectively quit all things construction and demolition because he was on the path to becoming an ordained priest. not every day you hear that as a story, so I said that sounds like an interesting story. What say we get together on a video chat and see if we can pick some bones out of it for a future podcast. What he hadn't told me was how all of that came to be. And it came to be because he was diagnosed some 9-10 years ago with a brain tumour. The surgeon that he was dealing with basically said, you have a brain tumour and it is going to kill you. In order to fix it, we are, and these are Paul's words, in order to fix it, we are going to have to take your face off, literally, dislocate your jaw and go in that way to try and fix it. Needless to say, possibly the worst news you could possibly get. Paul, completely non-religious in any way, shape or form, much the same as I am. As part of his dealing with that, basically found God. Now, I am a sceptical old bugger, and as I say, I have no faith whatsoever. Being a West Ham supporter will beat that out of you, guaranteed. But one of the things that we touched upon, and it kind of comes full circle, is I think everybody at some time or another has a crutch upon which they lean. It might be wife, spouse, parent, whatever it might be. I think some, when they're in their darkest times, are unfortunately turning to drugs and alcohol as their crutch. And I think some people turn to religion. That is precisely what Paul did. But not only did he turn to religion, he has now pursued that. And as I say, he is on his way to becoming fully ordained. The whole thing then comes full circle because he is now working in his local community up in the Midlands. He's working up in his local community in the Midlands, providing support for people that are reliant upon drugs and alcohol, people that are going through mental health issues as well. It really is. I'm not, as I say, not religious. I didn't see the light myself. I'm not planning to go to church on Christmas Day or any other day for that matter. But I have to say, of all the stories I've heard this year, this was by far the best. The video is edited. It's actually sat on YouTube right now. I just haven't pressed the go live button. I'll be doing that first thing tomorrow morning. If you do have 45 minutes that you can spare, I would honestly, my part in it is that big. Paul is a great talker, a great storyteller, and it really is an absolute conqueror of a show. And it will be available in both video and audio formats as well. So it'll be over on YouTube, and it'll be on Spotify in video form. But if you want to listen to it, you can do that as well across a multitude of podcast platforms. If you do have the time and the inclination, I really would recommend it. And the reason I've mentioned it there, obviously there is the link to the church, but I know that Paul has, over the past week or so, been doing a lot of work with the food banks up in his part of the world, up near Sandwell around Birmingham way, but has also done some fundraisers. They've got a campaign going on, which to my mind makes perfect sense. They've got a bike program. Halfords have very kindly donated a bunch of bikes for local children, but they're also taking in used bicycles, fixing them, but they're teaching the children to fix them so that they can provide bikes for other children who can then fix their own. The whole thing, a bit like, is it the RAF advert? If you can fix a bicycle, you can fix a car. If you can fix a car, you can fix a fighter jet. There is that whole idea of engineering starts right here by putting the wheel back on a bicycle. Fantastic initiative. And as I say, I am not a man who is easily inspired, as you've probably gathered over the past couple of years. But that story absolutely blew me away. In fact, it blew me away that much. When I'd finished editing it, I literally sat there with headphones on last night and I listened back to it again. It's that good, honestly. If you have the chance, please go and give it a listen after tomorrow morning. That's going to do us for today. I'm going to say happy birthday to Steve Williamson once again. I'm sure he's about 21 or thereabouts. I'm going to say thank you again to Gary Muirhead for the multiple cups of coffee that he bought me and which I'm about to go and enjoy. I'm going to say congratulations to Peter Ferguson on winning Demolition 2051. We're back tomorrow with the penultimate prize. Penultimate prize is going to be another of my books. That one right there is called Renaissance, Why JCB is the Apple of the Digger World. Copy that one up for grabs tomorrow. And I think I've found a prize for Friday. I've got a spare leaf hair hat. If anyone fancies that, tune in on Friday for the last show of 2022. The last chance to win a prize before we all go off our merry ways and fill our socks with Satsumas or something. Until then, have a great day, everyone. Stay safe. Please stay safe. This time of year always seems to be more accidents around this time of year for reasons I've never fully understood. So please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, your colleagues. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Till then, have a good one.